Բաքսի, ուրեմն իդեալ։ Փոխարինեք ձեր 5-ացան Բաքսի Eco4S կեր ժամանակակից կաթսայով։ Մանրամասները easier-system.am
Scott Saroyan, president of William Saroyan Foundation, will sit down with the First Analytical tonight. Mr. Saroyan, thank you for this opportunity.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you very much for having me, Astrid.
What brings you to Armenia?
So, the Saroyan Foundation was founded by William Saroyan himself back in 1966. When he passed away, he left my father in charge. My dad has passed away also. And the mission of the foundation is to promote and preserve Saroyan's legacy through a number of different channels. And I'm actually here in Armenia against a variety of different programs that we've got at the foundation. Some of them are with regard to charity, and we donate to the Children of Armenia Fund and the American University of Armenia. Some have to do with continuing to publish his work, and I'm sorry about the long answer. But there is Antares here in Yerevan has been publishing translations of Saroyan's work. They've been publishing primarily his best-known works, but what we're in discussion about is a rather exciting idea to publish some unpublished short stories that Saroyan wrote about his Armenian upbringing and about the Armenian ethnic condition. So that's the second. And the third is that I'm working towards creating a festival in Saroyan's honor 1 year from now. So Saroyan's birthday is August 31st, this coming Saturday. And I am working with the U.S. Embassy and members of the cultural community here in Yerevan to build a program to celebrate his life and his work August 31st, 2025.
How relevant would you say is Saroyan today for Armenians, both in Armenia and around the world? That's
a really good question. I think he's very relevant, but I want to make sure that there's awareness of who he is and what he stands for. Saroyan grew up in Fresno, California, in an environment that knew very little about Armenians, and what was known about them, they weren't particularly well liked. Saroyan himself rejected organized education, but had an artistic vision and worked very hard to achieve that vision and become successful. I think that message is relevant for Armenians here, both in Armenia and in the diaspora, regardless of the time period. And those are some of the attributes of Saroyan and his life that I hope to bring to the diaspora and, importantly, to Armenians here in Yerevan, in the home country.
It is a well-known fact, and you stated yourself, that Saroyan was against organized education. How legit would you say it is to educate in his name, which is part of what Saroyan Foundation stands for?
Very good question. I think that let me break that into parts. First of all, I think Saroyan believed, and I believe, that education writ large is extremely important. What Saroyan rejected was the programmatic approach to learning, where the teacher's word was accepted regardless of questions about why the teacher was saying what he or she was saying, what was the meaning behind what he was being taught. Those were the elements, and as a matter of fact, he wrote some very entertaining short stories about combative experiences he had with teachers that were very arbitrary and unwilling to answer his questions. So in that respect, I think actually the world has come his way from the way that education was, at least in the United States in the late 1920s and 30s. So I think it's extremely relevant. I'd add that...
So he was a pioneer of individualistic education, which you're saying.
Exactly, that's right, and quite so. And an advocate of the importance of one driving his own education. Saroyan spent countless hours in the libraries of Fresno teaching himself about literature structure, and learning to write. The one aspect of education, formal education, that he found extremely relevant for his vision was he learned to type. He learned to type in professional school in Fresno, and that sort of prepared him for the career that he sought.
So traditional education is not as useless as they thought it was, obviously. It came in handy in some ways.
I think that he would look at traditional education, what has become the traditional educational approach today, much more kindly than he looked upon the education with which he was offered in the late 1920s.
Well, I mean, typing was offered by traditional education, basically. But back to Saroyan, he lived and he created his work when there was no Armenia. What do you think, if we draw upon his works, would be his attitude to the present-day Armenia, the Armenian statehood? Is this the Armenia that he would dream to see?
He certainly believed in the power of Armenia regardless of its statehood, and wrote very famously about how, you know, you can take our race and break us up and starve us and murder us, but Armenians will always gather together and create their own Armenia again. So to one extent, and oh, by the way, he visited Soviet Armenia 4 times during his life, and very much resonated with the people that he met here. I think that he would be thrilled that Armenia has achieved and maintained statehood. I think that he would love being here. I think he would greatly appreciate the fact that there is a statue in his honor here. And as a matter of fact, as I'm sure you know, one of the terms of his will was that his ashes be divided. Half of them are interred in Fresno, but half of them are interred here in Yerevan.
What expectations does the foundation have from Armenia? What can Armenia and what should Armenia do for the foundation in collaboration? Is there a foundation-state dialogue?
We started one yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I am in dialogue with the Ministry of Culture, who are very pleased about working together to achieve this goal of the festival in Saroyan's honor 1 year from now. But I feel as though the responsibility for promoting and maintaining awareness of Saroyan falls first on the foundation, and it should not be born as a responsibility of the Armenian people, but one rather that I hope we're able to offer them in a way that they find very accessible and exciting.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. It's been
great being here. Do you have a message for the Armenian audience, both here
you know what?
and in the diaspora, last but not least?
This is my first time in Armenia. And I can't tell you how much I've loved being here. And I want to thank the wonderful people that I've met here for being such sensational hosts. It's just the thrill of a lifetime being here.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Scott Sadrakian, president of William Saroyan Foundation, sat with the First Analytical tonight.